Welcome, Krutik.
Thanks, Shubham.
Thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you for taking time to get this away.
Right,
So,
great.
yeah.
Okay, so as you mentioned,
Yeah.
BITSoM, can you broadly or briefly describe your journey before the BITSoM, how you planned your MBA, and
Absolutely.
how are you going after the MBA?
Yeah. So I kind of looked through a few options, and BITSoM kind of caught my eye because BITSoM was relatively unique in the sense it's based out of Bombay.
Right.
There are not a lot of offerings that I thought would be worth it based out of Bombay, and they were offering a unique new style where
Right.
they were doing like a block teaching methodology. We had assistant professors coming in. That kind of really attracted me, especially with like the names they were proposing in terms of our professor roster.
Right.
And I think it was a good step for me to take at that point because I kind of jumped into something without knowing a lot about it, which is kind of weird because people may think a lot before making the MBA
Right.
decision. But for me, it was kind of on the contrary. It was like a leap of faith, and it kind of worked out.
Great.
Yeah.
So, was it tough for you to transition to from core technical background to this management subject, study all the subjects?
Sure.
How was it?
Uh, Tough, not really. I think it was just an adjustment.
Okay.
Because what happens is when you're from, let's say, like a core technical background, like aerospace in my example, you are very used to like going up against really difficult and complex problems. You're used to solving complex mathematical issues, tackling these kind of
Right.
problems. But the human aspect is kind of missing in those scenarios.
Okay.
What MBA teaches you is that while solving every problem, you got to tackle the human aspect of it as well as
Right.
the technical aspect of it. You can learn the technical aspect in any other school, but like the human aspect is really important in understanding, what who the stakeholders are, what are their motives, and what can drive them, and like how do you achieve your goal while making everyone happy? Because in the end, not all games are zero sum games. So it's kind of important figuring out, who wants what.
Right.
And I think MBA does a great job in terms of you learning all those aspects.
Yeah, it's totally a transformative journey. MBA is like
Yeah.
the mold you get. The clay you get. You can mold it anywhere as per your choice.
Absolutely. And in a way, BITSoM also gives you the freedom to do that.
Yes, totally.
You can craft your MBA into whatever you want it to be.
Right.
So that's kind of like a
So
great
how has been your journey like after the MBA part?
Sure. Coming into the MBA, I thought that maybe I could, at the end of it, get something out of it where I'm still pursuing my passion in aerospace. But the way the journey worked out was I kind of found that I was good at certain things.
Okay.
Because in a way, whether you're doing something incredibly technical or you're doing finance, numbers is still numbers.
Right.
If you're good with them in one aspect, you're going to be good with them in another
one. Right.
So it kind of worked out in such a way that by the end of the MBA, I had taken quite a lot of finance courses that had become my major, and my company had come for recruitment, and it just worked out that we kind of had that conversation. I liked the kind of work they were doing because it gave me an opportunity in a way, because technically my work is still research.
Okay.
So it kind of still relates to my technical and academic background because that is what I kind of came up
core
doing.
idea.
Right. You're still technically doing research on instead of like an aerospace idea. Now it's basically a finance-based idea, but still the core still lies at research. And I thought this might be something like I might be good at, so I'll just give it a shot.
Okay.
And so far I've been liking it.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you shed some more light into the work you do? Like,
Sure.
How it would be for someone to be in your shoes?
Absolutely. Yeah. So essentially, what my title is global market strategist, which means we kind of look at what's happening in the world and what impact it has on different capital markets. So let's take US and the tariffs that Trump had imposed for an example. We kind of look at what the impact that has directly and indirectly through secondary effects on the US equity, debt, forex, alternatives markets, and also the ripples that kind of go through in the sense the effect on European markets, Japanese markets, and other markets around the world. Now, that is a very, very broad thing to look at.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily cover every single individual country, but we look at developed markets. So that would kind of be like the G4, which would be
Okay.
the Europe, US, Japan, and sometimes we kind of look at
Right.
China. What's been going on over
Yeah.
there.
Great. The current geopolitical situation is like constantly create new markets. We can't imagine like next day new
Yes.
market arises and so.
Absolutely, it's been very volatile in the sense the macroeconomic situation around the world has been changing quite drastically week to
Right.
week, and I think in a way, BITSoM kind of prepared us for that, especially with like the block method.
Okay.
I know it's
Yeah.
like a very hated thing
Right.
that we've come up with, but it prepares you in a way to be ready for very short-term volatility. Because
Totally.
when you kind of need to wipe the slate clean every week because
Right.
something new has come up the next week, you're kind of prepared for that because that's what you've been doing the past 2 years.
Right. Even the deliverable time, like mostly the deadlines are next day or the day after tomorrow. Because
Absolutely, because so I'll give you an example. We kind of the product we work on is something that is deliverable weekly, and our product is read by like biggest institutional investors around the world,
Right.
and they kind of make their decisions based on the information that they are given. So it's quite critical that we provide timely information to them and accurate information to them.
Right.
And that is something we are kind of used to, on a
Right.
weekly basis.
It requires a
delivering.
lots of accountability also.
Absolutely. I mean, the stakes are higher, but then the game is the same.
Right.
So, yeah, it's something that in a way BITSoM prepares you well for.
Right. With the block system, it's really like great. Even personally, I like this system. Like you can focus just on one topic at a time.
Right.
It really creates creates your focus.
I mean, so there are arguments for the other side as well, where essentially because let's just say instead of block system, we would have gone with the traditional
Right.
semester system or the trimester system. You'd have longer periods of exposure to a course, so you have more time to absorb something. So I'm sure there are arguments on both sides, but my point being, like, block systems at least useful.
Right.
In like my example, in the sense you're very well prepared mentally to deal with that.
As you mentioned, with your role, you constantly need to be on toes with the current affairs, the current situations going on, where not all the common people don't have access to the information.
Absolutely.
So, what are like the challenges you face in that?
So, I think a few of the challenges for my role is you kind of have to come to concrete conclusions. You can't really get away with coming up with a hypothesis and not backing it up, with a concrete stance.
Right.
Because every call you make has consequences because there are institutional investors,
Right.
quant funds, tiny hedge funds based out of somebody's boardroom who kind of ride on your research.
Right.
So it's, of course, you're going to make mistakes from time to time. And by mistakes, I mean, you will have calls that wouldn't turn out the way you thought it was, but as long as you can back it with concrete data and logical thinking, I think that's very important if you want to work in finance.
One more thing I wanted to ask, in this wave of artificial intelligence development, it is impacting every industry, every role.
Absolutely.
So how is it impacting your role,
Absolutely.
the finance sector broadly, and mainly the research work you do?
Absolutely. So as I think everyone is aware, finance is a very numbers heavy game. What computers are good at is dealing with numbers and patterns. Humans can kind of bring out these patterns and make broader stories and conclusions, but usually machine learning and artificial intelligence is very good at finding the base patterns out of numbers. So in my role, because we look at such a broad spectrum of different markets, it is physically and humanly impossible for you to be constantly aware of everything that's been going on. So we rely a lot on technology and technology assisted products. And of course, like my workplace kind of provides us with a lot of these AI tools, and specifically in equity research as well as strategy, they provide a lot of importance to using these AI tools because in a way it makes your work a lot easier, and in a second way, you can get a lot more done with the same amount of data. So earlier, when you would have this mass quantities of data, eh, for one person to bring out all the conclusions from that data would take a lot of time, and you would kind of
Totally.
pass it deadlines, like,
Right.
and you don't have that much time, and especially
So I
now.
think, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
it's a like myth or the scare people have that it will replace everything. It's like just a myth, I guess.
But not necessarily. I can see like specific places where AI can take over
Right.
jobs that humans currently do.
Okay.
But those jobs, I feel like they anyways weren't the kind of jobs that we strive
Right.
to kind of do as humans, as a society. AI is good at finding numbers, finding patterns, doing the menial tasks. Humans are good at taking the ideas, the broader ideas from that, and building
Got it.
something out of it. So with those jobs, I doubt AI can take over. But
Got it. Totally.
yeah, some of the jobs I feel like still might be at risk.
Right. So, can you name any courses, the faculties which had really great impact that resonates with you in your current
Absolutely,
work?
yeah. I think one of the first courses, like at least within the first semester, was DMU, was Decision Modeling and Uncertainty, taught by Professor Shubham Kathrecha at our time. And I think what he did, like a really great job, was trying to teach us to provide structure to an unstructured problem. Because when you come from a background, like for example, for me from aerospace, you learn to deal with complex problems, but they usually have a structure. You have the boundary conditions available. You have like, or if not, you make assumptions about them. Sev kind of gave us a broad overview of how you approach these unstructured problems and create a structure around it, which makes solving the problem a lot easier.
Right.
Of course, for some problems, you can't really come up with a structure, but most of the time, it's a really helpful framework. Along similar lines, Dan Gode was really helpful, even from like, especially from a finance perspective, because this valuation framework course kind of gave us the first glimpse of how these companies are evaluated.
Right.
Maybe not to a DCF level, but he gave us a very good idea of what you're looking for when you're trying to judge how a company is doing.
Right.
I think that was very useful.
Great, great.
Yeah.
So finally, what advice do you want to give to future aspirant MBA students or current MBA students who want to have same career trajectory as you?
Absolutely. I think first thing, because my journey was relatively unorthodox, I didn't really have a lot of exposure in finance. When I joined my role and my company, you get to learn a lot on the job. So first thing I'd say is don't be too nervous about like not knowing a lot of things. Secondly, it is quite helpful to have finance as a major because you do pick up a lot, during BITSoM, during your second year when you take these electives, not just doing the assignments, but also interacting with the professors because they kind of give you a broader idea of what the industry is like.
That's great. Yeah. That was really insightful conversation with you, Krutik.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for taking
thanks for taking out the time as
Hopefully, it
well.
will help us, our batch, and current MBA students and future aspirants.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope this helps.
Yeah,
as well.
looking forward to meet you in future as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so
much.